to CE motherfucking O.
That's right, baby. That's right.
What's up? It's the Come Up. We're out here where we talk about the real, the raw, the dirty, the make nasty, the journey of getting to our life points of success. We talk about the good stuff too, but we like to keep it real on this show. I am with Cam.
What up,
Bannister,
y'all?
fellow Sag sister, entrepreneur, former hairstylist, just a fucking badass, CEO of FreeByrd.
Yes.
Tell us about what you're doing right now.
Oh, what am I not doing?
Yeah.
Let's just start there.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone listening. You are precious and kind to allow me on this podcast to come up. It is not easy, any journey. And FreeByrd is just that. We are setting FreeByrds free every single day in the entrepreneurial world, whether it's creatives or it's business owners. And it really stems from my industry career as a celebrity hairstylist, traveling to Dallas, LA, and New York, and having the most incredible clientele, clearing six figures, all that jazz.
Yeah.
To hop in an Uber, and the Uber was a fellow hairstylist, working 3 jobs, struggling. And here I am, just hopping about, going here, there, and everywhere, just fine, and making the money. And I'm like, what is the difference between us?
Yes.
Why is it that I'm able to create this career of travel? And it all came from my love of travel and building up my clientele here, there, and everywhere, by the way, with no tech. So I want to throw that out right now because
this was what year are we talking here?
circa, right? 2018 is when FreeByrd started. But before that, I was a celebrity hairstylist for 15 years.
Oh, fucking That's a big deal.
It is. And I wanted to kick it off with that because what I'm up to is a combo of those things. So I think for your audience, for you, for to have a better understanding of this wild woman sitting in your chair. My adventures started in the beauty industry as a celebrity hairstylist. Like I said, I just saw so many of us struggling, creatives who have this beautiful passion, mission, and message, but then we're met with modern tools, tech, marketing, all of these things. And it really broke my heart. So 7 years ago, I set out to find a solution. So I'm the co-founder. My husband is the tech mind. I'm the visionary and dreamer. We set out, started an app, moved into a web platform. We are a private company and now support FreeByrds across the globe, being able to take away that burden so they can be with people more. They can get out there and do that.
Yeah. So you help people with the technology portion. You help creatives with the technology. Okay. So
a lot and a little right there. Hold on, buckle up, baby. Let's go.
Let's talk about this because I feel like what people don't understand about entrepreneurship or creatives is that it never stops.
Never.
It's not just one thing. Nope. So you were in the beauty industry, which is opposite end of the spectrum. Yeah. What happened there? What made you want to make a switch? Did you fully make a switch? Yeah. Are you still doing hair? What does that look like?
Here's those great questions. Okay, so what am I up to today is a combination of all. So I want to explain that because you're right. Entrepreneurship is not a one size fits all. Yeah. A career path does not look a certain way, right? When I was starting out in hair, you went to beauty school, right? You worked for a salon or you worked for yourself. It was it. That was it. Or you became an educator for the brands, right? There was no independent artist. There was no traveling artist. There was none of that. It was just you went and did the beauty industry. Well, for me, I always wanted to work in LA and New York. Always, right?
And where are you from?
I'm originally from Northern California.
Okay,
So I moved to Dallas and worked for a very high-end salon, was recruited to LA to work for the exclusive salon of LA Fashion Week.
Okay.
So I was loving life as a hairstylist, every single aspect of it. I mean, the clients are just it, you know, and there's nothing like a color room. And I had created my career to be able to only work 48 days a year. So I was only...
Wait, what?
Right.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So
I have to go.
So I was a wild woman behind the chair, and I would run 3 chairs, 2 assistants, and...
At the same time?
This was the
definite... His face. He was like, what?
This is definitely... I don't advise anything I'm saying, by the way. I have learned, y'all. I have learned. But I want you to know that I didn't even own a computer 8 years ago. I didn't know how to send an email. I speak gibberish. I write gibberish. I never punctuate correctly. My grammar is awful. I am a trade professional through and through. Yeah. So I need you to know that as I tell you, I'm the CEO of a software company and was Tech Founder of the Year in 2021.
Wow.
So don't underestimate yourself. Just believe in yourself because I never knew I'd put down my shears. Ever once. I never thought about it. I was that girl in junior high braiding down my softball team. I was cutting hair in between games. Like I was that person. So I never thought I would put down my shears. Well, I started FreeByrd with the mission of helping us be discoverable for our uniqueness, right?
Yeah.
Like social media was pissing me off. I'm like, oh my God, like who cares about a goddamn post? Like put that shit down and stop curating your life and go live it.
Yeah.
And share it and be so compassionate and, you know, alive in it that people want to come to, right?
Right.
Well, that was hair for me. And then I saw this tool putting divide between our industries. And it really, honestly, in a passion of fury was like, how do we help the educators of our industries be known? These 100,000 followers, they're this. Are they notable? Are they meritable? And are they furthering our industry?
Right.
No. They're playing the social game.
I see.
Right? Like, so it's like, okay, for me, I just set out with like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just knew that now we're these hairstylists who are asked to not only be therapists, chemists, you know, inventory specialists, all of these things.
Yeah.
But now we have a tech tool and we have to market ourselves and we have to take good photos and we have to have no lighting. Like, I was just like, how do we help these people? Because we're the front lines of humanity.
Right.
We're the industries who are actually touching and working with other humans.
Right.
I don't want to see one more creative behind a screen.
So, like, just to backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you got to a level that a lot of people don't get to without the social media.
That's
like
right,
you were
baby.
just raw dogging it.
That's right.
Like
baby.
you were,
That's right.
you were
That's
good
right.
at it.
You didn't get in my chair unless you knew one of my clients.
So let's like talk about, I want you to talk about that portion because one thing I talk about with my students all the time is like, all this other shit doesn't matter.
Not at
the
all.
check mark
Not
doesn't
even
matter.
Not at all.
Whatever. It's always going to be the hardest working person.
Yep.
And
most passionate.
Most passionate, and you just have to be great. Like that is not dead. So talk about like you becoming great.
All right.
Without all this shit.
Yeah. No, and you know what it is? It's such a great point. And I'm glad that's what you teach your students, because if I could tell any artist, any entrepreneur, any creative who is working with their hands and their heart to create their life, right?
Amen.
Right? Whether that's tattoos, massage, makeup, hair, I'm not leaving you out, dance, any of it. If you are working with other humans, the most important thing you can do is become really great at what you do.
Yeah.
Become the expert, become excellent. And I promise you, that's not watching YouTube videos. Yeah. That's not being on your phone scrolling. That's being behind your chair.
Doing what you're doing.
Do what you're meant to do.
Work in. Yes.
And that's where it's like, for me, I can tell you confidently, for 7 years, I felt like a baby deer in the industry.
Yeah.
You know, like for 7 years, I was always hell-bent. So there is an important part I think you got to know about my story.
Yeah.
Because, so I'm also a mom. I'm 33. So let's put some ages out here for a second. 33. I have a 15 and a 14-year-old. I've lived on my own.
Wait, whoa.
Right. Yes. So I've been a mom since I was 18 and 19 years old.
Wow.
They have been with me full bore the whole time. And
you still did it all.
And yes, ma'am, I did. But there was a sense of urgency. It wasn't just me living this life, right? So I think there's an importance to hear here. And I do want to tell you how I started my beauty career, because I am here today to reflect it back. But y'all, I was working half the time in the McDonald's drive-thru and the other half building my books. So when I tell you it takes being there, you got to be there. So it wasn't until I could take away time behind McDonald's to build my books that I was able to switch and let go of another thing. So I promise you, it may sound like viral is the way to go, but I can promise you nothing steals your creativity faster than going viral.
Yeah.
So remember that, because it's all a tool. And how much do you talk about your tool? This is a big thing for me. So creatives, listen to me carefully. With fire, right? As a species, we've really grown with fire, haven't we? But do we talk about fire all goddamn day?
Yeah.
Do we just sit and stare at it? Or when we're cold, we light a fire?
Right.
These tools are just like fire.
Yeah.
They can either encourage and move you forward, or they can consume you and burn you down.
And they're quick.
They're quick. But remember, you are the magic.
Right.
You are the one who's creating the fire. You are the one who lights the way. So don't lose your way trying to be in someone else's fire. Don't lose your way because of tools. Mm-hmm. Tap back into that passion, tap back into that why, and become excellent at what you do. Yeah. And then these tools are like beacons, right? They're just enhancers, or like, I think of it like a radio frequency. You know, let your vibration start to resonate, and then these tools help it go out farther, right? Like, I hope that's coming in and like making sense. But
yeah, and so you worked at McDonald's.
Yeah,
you got really that
young
is
mom
so
too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, young mom, because one other thing that we talk a lot about is capacity. And like people self-limiting.
Sure.
And like when you really want something, I am a firm believer in people only do what they want to fucking do.
That's right.
That's it. Yeah. And it saves me a lot of overthinking. You know what I mean? And
radical self-responsibility is not something people do often. Yes.
Right. And so if you want to do something, you do what it takes.
You do it.
So in that moment, you did what it took. You're like, I want to be this, but I have to do this. I have all this stuff I have to take care of. And you did the steps.
That's right.
And then you got good. So so at what point were you able to drop McDonald's and go hair? And then at what point were you like so good at hair that it was just like, I'm that bitch?
Yeah. Okay, so McDonald's, it took me 6 months, which is fast.
Oh, sure.
But it was possible because I talked, right? So everybody, if you were in my drive-thru, I'd be like, I can do that hair. Boom. Like I was handing out business cards. Like I was the first person you spoke to at McDonald's. Yeah. So like I was getting your money and I was doing that, right? So it was like if people had any time to talk to me, you're your walking advertisement, y'all. And I need entrepreneurs to hear this right now. You are your best advertisement. Please 100%. Put yourself together. Get ready for the day. Let's go. Let's go. Please, because I promise you as a hairstylist in these markets, like if I were to look toward back and be like, I'm a hairstylist, nice to meet you. Not toward
back.
I'm telling you, honey, if I look toward back, they'd be like, that's cute. Like, and they would just move about their life, right? Like,
totally.
You have to understand, like, when you feel better, you do better too. Yeah. And confidence is coming from your competence in what you do. You can only become that by continuing. So for me, it was like, get more people in my chair. Then my books were filled. I was able to offset by just like, I couldn't fill my book anymur. Right. I worked from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
So you were just maxed.
Maxed out. And my kids were a year old and 2 years old at this point.
So you're like, what, 20?
Yeah. That's crazy. So at this point, I had bought a house. It was great. It was cool, whatever. And then I was like.
You bought it? Wait, hold. No, not whatever.
Oh, sorry.
You bought a house at 20. From you hustling your ass at McDonald's / hustling as a hair.
And I did graduate at 16.
High school?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So like, that's why I'm like, I think I have to start a little lower because in like age, because it's like, I've lived on my own since I was 16. I graduated with my full diploma. I had just taken college classes, so I had dual credit. And I didn't have the best home life. Like my mom and I have worked really hard to heal our relationship now, but essentially my counselor pulled me in and was like, we need to figure out your exit strategy. And I'm like, yep, right now.
And you did that.
Yeah, like very fortunately I knew from junior high going in that like I wanted to be like as far ahead as I could be for myself, meaning like college credits, because I didn't know yet what I was going to do. Like as an 8th grader, I'm going into freshman year and I took summer school, jumped up. So like my freshman year, I jumped up to sophomore level.
So you were motivated.
Yes. Like I knew I wanted to get out. Like, you know what I mean? And my mom made a fateful mistake and said to me, you can move out of the house when you get your diploma. Yeah. And I'm like, check, let's go. So I did. And that's exactly what I did. I moved out. So my counselor, I think it was, my birthday is December 1st. So
Sages unite.
Sages. Let's go. When's your birthday?
December 6th.
Oh, let's go. Okay. So I just turned 16. I graduated, I think, in March of my next year. And I worked 8 hours at Subway and 8 hours at McDonald's every day. So and that was in high school. So I had one class I had to take on independent studies to like complete, but it gave me 4 months to work that schedule. Yeah. And that's how I survived my first 8 months as an adult at 16 years old, moving to Reno, Nevada on my own.
You moved out of the state?
I moved out of state, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I actually signed my own lease. Somehow I was able to do that, and I signed my own lease and everything. So
that is wild.
Yes. So that is wild to go back to. I haven't talked about this for years. So
wow.
Yeah. So
where does that come from? Like where that type of motivation? Especially, I mean, you said your home life wasn't the best.
Oh, Jesus, we're going all the way back.
But like, where?
All right, here we go.
Where do you get that from?
Well,
because it's not.
No, you're right. It did come from, and it's the one sentence I still live on, which is one is worth it. So, at 14 years old, I was sexually assaulted by my softball coach. It's all right. Of my softball coach, who I had been with since I was 4 years old. So I actually got a full ride scholarship to Ducks, but I turned it down because it was associated to him. So anyways, when I was a freshman in high school, that happened with him. And then the year and a half I was at school, I was called a slut and a whore every time I walked down the hallways.
Oh my God.
So because his daughter was a year above me, I was the youngest on the team. And so everyone was above me, and like they were sophomores, I was a freshman. And so they, of course, I can understand she can't wrap her brain around it either, you know?
Right.
And so I was tormented as I walked down the halls. And I went from this very loud, bright person to like scared to even say a word. Right. And I didn't stop talking. I actually, when people would ask me about it, it was just so blatantly honest. It was like therapy, I guess, you know? And I would be like, this is exactly what happened. Right. This is exactly what happened. And I don't know why I told so many people, you know, it just was what it was. And before I knew it, I walk into class one day, there's a note on my chair and it says, thank you so much for having the courage to speak up. Wow. Because of you, I'm willing to put my rapist of 7 years away. And it was like, in that moment, it was just so understandable to me that it's like, I'm okay. I really am. I am okay now, especially, but it's like, one is worth it. And me being the first one, that's where it came from. Right. I needed to get myself where I needed to go. You know what I mean? I needed that freedom to like pursue life and decide for myself. Yes. Not because someone told me how to feel. Not because like my family was very religious. I respect however anyone chooses to live. Totes. No one's going to tell me how to feel about someone else. Yeah. No one's going to tell me how to express themselves in this world. It's just not going to happen. And if you treat someone different for that, get the fuck away from me. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, and so I started, that's me, right? Yeah. That's how I started out. And now here I am as a mom. I'm doing hair. It's very successful. It's all these things. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it, loving it. But one day I swear to you, this is fact, and just buckle up, because if you think that's wild, it gets way more intense. So, So, yes, I did buy a house. I bought a house when I was 20 years old, and I was ready to sell it.
Right away?
8 months later. And I was like, I gotta go. And my husband's like, wait a minute, what? And I'm like, I don't know. I gotta go. And he's like, where? And I was like, I don't know. Like, this
is typical Sag behavior.
I'm like,
I don't know. You know.
I'm like, I really. I'm like, and here I am looking at this like 3 and 2 year old. I have everything a hairstylist could want. Like, I'm so booked out. You're on a wait list. Like, I know everybody in the town.
And you were in Reno.
No, now I'm back in California.
Oh my God.
That's what I'm saying. That I've moved 23 times in 17 years.
Oh shit.
Yes. 6 states. Yes. So when I tell you, and that was just one move. So like, you're just only hearing the first. I won't go into all of them. It's wild, but it's all been so much fun. Yeah. Like, but it's been a journey. So we'll keep it as concise as possible. But I've experienced a lot to be right here. You know, so it's like, it is important to know that like, no, I was not in the same town. No, I was not in the same environments. No, I was not at the same job. Like I threw myself and immersed myself into scary shit intentionally the entire time. You know, like I wanted to feel so uncomfortable that I had to figure it out. And as soon as I got comfortable, I flipped script again. Like it was just.
That is so important.
Yeah, I think so.
That is the way you do it.
I think so.
You have to be constantly. Yeah. This is like, this is one of those things where dance is like, this is how we do this in here. Yeah. The willingness to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. And make a mistake and fail.
And just be like, and do it again and do it again. That's how you get to this level.
That's exactly right. And so you keep going, you know, you show up, and all that was consistent for me other than being a mama, right? Like, you know, that consistency, because Saggies don't commit to much of anything. So it's like, my job, like my expression in the world and working with clients, and a way of hair is my medium. It was like beautiful, but the truth comes in is like, now I can tell you, freedom is what I was seeking. I was seeking freedom in my schedule. I was seeking freedom in like these things, and this industry provided it. And I was blessed with so much and so much pain. So, you know, fast forward, yes, I did build up an incredible skill set. I was doing really well. I would not consider myself good at year 4, more so that I was so determined to provide for my family. Right. So like, I was determined to provide for my family, so I would never fail. I would never mess up. And if I did, it was like the nth degree to take care of my clients. Totally. Please keep in mind, I'm writing in a book to schedule their appointment. Just know this is the same. This is the time frame. You know what I mean? Like just 17 years ago in the industry, we didn't even have softwares yet. Right. So like, we didn't even have booking systems. We didn't have anything.
You're like looking day to day in a calendar of scheduled appointments.
That's right. And you block them out, book them out, and so forth. So like your book, your actual tangible book, that's what I was still working in. So all of a sudden one day I'm like, I get this incredible sense to sell my house and move and just go somewhere. Well, my sister had just moved to Dallas, Texas. And I was like, like if I'm going to go somewhere, my entire family's in like California area, right? Like on the West Coast. So I'm like, never been to Dallas, never left West Coast.
Right.
Let's go, you know? So sure enough, message my realtor that day and say, hey, I want to sell the house. He's like, I think I have a buyer. Our house sold in 6 weeks. We thought we had 8 months. You know what I'm saying? Like we thought for sure. So 6 weeks, I have to like have all my book of clientele go, all these things, whatever. Just so happens I'm telling my story to like one of my clients in my chair, and my 3rd grade teacher is in another chair. And she goes, hey, Cam, my aunt has a salon out in Dallas.
Stop. Ooh, that's that divine timing. That is,
Girl. And I'm over here like, stop it. Like I'm coming from a small town of like 2 main roads. Okay. Yeah. Red Bluff, California and Northern California. It's right between Chico and Redding. And it's a small area.
Yeah. That's tiny.
Yeah. Like you pass it and you're like, whoop, there it was, you know, whoa, baby, whoa. And here I come into Dallas. Holy hell. Yeah. No matter what skill set I thought I had, it was out the window now. Like now I am the guppy in the ocean, right? 4 million people, the 4th largest metroplex. Like, oh my God, I've never apprenticed. I have no, like, I'm the one who moved us out here. Like my husband's willing to stay home with the kids so I can do what I need to do. But I'm like, I don't know what to do. You guys, like, I don't know what to do. Like, so I get out there, I secure an apartment. I fly out a month before we move, secure an apartment, go work for that person. And we'll fast forward, you guys. I get us out there. And I quit my job within 3 weeks of getting out there. I couldn't. Oh no, I didn't quit. I got fired. That was the only time I got fired. 3 weeks after being there, I got fired because she said to me, I don't think you should ever work for someone ever again. And I'm like, I'll take that as a compliment. And left. Instant. And I was like,
what type of thing is that to say? I would take that as a compliment too.
I'd be like, because her clients were starting to come to me. And so I'm like, you know, this game, you can't be doing it. And I did it. I didn't. I was doing my job, but when they would go to rebook,
they wanted you.
That's right. They weren't rebooking with her. So they were rebooking with me. And I'm like, this isn't a good look. You know, like this isn't a good look. I didn't want this. This wasn't what I was trying to do. I was just trying to do a good job. So unfortunately, my experience was a lot like that in the industry from day one. Was like, I'd get somewhere and I was so determined that I was hated. So from there I went to another salon, and I'm telling you, when I saw this salon, it was like around Christmas time. I was like, it was all lit up with these beautiful lights, and I'm like, that's it. That's what I'm going to work for. I want to work there. Knew nothing about them. Walked in and was like, I want to work here. And they're like, have you apprenticed? Have you done this? Have you done this? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, let's do a working model. And I'm like, I don't know anybody here. I just moved here. Like, I know no one. I don't okay. Very long story short, run into somebody and I'm like, can I use your head for my interview? Yeah. And she's like, yeah. Well, I do the interview and they're like, you've done a full highlight, cut, and style in less than an hour. And I was like, uh-huh. And like, I was super on my game. I was so nervous. You know, I was moving at like rapid speed. I'm like, holy hell. And I'm like, is that bad? Like, you know, at that point, I'm like, I don't even know if that's good. You know, I'm just like, shit, I ruined this for myself. And they were so impressed with the speed that they were just like, and the outcome that they're like, if she can do this in this time, then let's get her some more clients, you know? And it was like, let's go. So I was hired on the spot, and that would become one of my greatest lessons at that salon. So that was California to Texas, less than 6 months, just quick, just very fast. Everything happened fast. Went to Dallas and was in Dallas for 6 years, and my hair career really took off there.
Yeah. And so what do you make? Oh, that's just like, I'm like, I got chills. What do you make of just the serendipity of all of that? Just being like, I'm doing this, and then this comes. And then you get fired, but then you get this other thing that's like, you're there for 6 years. That builds you into a place where you can go probably where? LA after that? Like,
well, so what's wild about that is like, okay, so you are there always. And this is what I tell people today, because it's actually easier working in the creative industries than what I've experienced. So we'll definitely get to the tech part, because that, I think when you're evolving, expanding, and expressing yourself in different ways in your career, you know, whether that's educating or giving back or even a new technique or a new dance move, right? Like, or a new set, like there's just something different about it. And it really can rock a creative's heart and mind, because they find comfort in their their certain approach, right? You know what I mean? Like artists have a way about them that it's like they trust their hands. Like for hair, like I trust my hands to move when I'm thinking, you know, it's like my hands will know before my mind, right?
Yes, 100%.
And so it's like, but when you want to embrace something different, and like, for example, for me, what I struggled with is I could do this all day, like working on my clients, but the moment you would ask me to educate someone right, it was just like, no. You know, and not that I didn't want to, it felt foreign.
Totally.
It felt foreign. Like, but if you stood next to me and asked me what I was doing, I would tell you word for word what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But when you start to express yourself differently, it feels weird. So that's where I would like to even like encourage all of you creatives is it's never going to always feel comfortable.
Right.
And there's going to be days like for me, for example, I was in year 8 and I melted 3 inches, 3 inches wide, 2 inches deep, hair down to mid back. I melted that hair off right to the root in the back of that head. After 8 years in the game, never, ever, ever having a scenario like that.
Right.
Ever in my lifetime. And it was as simple as I switched the developers. So I switched bowls just by accident, and I had that. So like, you're gonna trust yourself no matter what, but do know you're gonna fail, and when you do fail, it's the opportunity to thrive because you have an idea of what not to do next time.
Right.
You're more aware. But you are the magic. Yeah. Be gentle. Be kind to yourself. Don't put so much pressure on yourself.
Totally.
Trust yourself.
Yes.
And be in that incredibly uncomfortable, wildly unknown present moment.
Yeah.
And create.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And don't stop creating.
Don't stop creating.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like, don't overthink it. Don't try to think if I do this, it's going to do this. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Be there and trust yourself. And no matter if you show up in Dallas completely out of nowhere and you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you don't know anybody, you're terrified you're not going to be able to keep your job, right? Like to provide for your family, like all of those things. I was still the one who showed up.
Yes, it's always
that's all it is.
That's all you have to do.
I knew nothing other than I can recap it for you now.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like every day, it was just like, let's just see how this day goes. Like I don't know, and that's what I hope you hear me say is I had no goddamn clue, and I still don't.
Right.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Yeah.
All I know is everything changes, and you're the one who's there.
It's that willingness to continually show up and be open.
That's exactly so.
What is going to happen?
That's exactly so.
Don't know.
But
I'm here.
Don't know.
We'll see.
Don't know.
Okay, I want to go back just a tiny little bit.
You can go anywhere.
Because you said you kept having this experience of going into these environments and getting the haterade. Mm-hmm. So how do you deal with it? Where do you think it comes from? What is up with it?
Oh, the haterade is awful. Okay, so here I am, 21, 22, just moved to Dallas. First of all, like 22 is young.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super young.
22 is young. When I was 22, did I think it was young? No.
Right.
So let's all be honest here. And I had babes. So I was really criticized a lot. I was criticized by clients and I was criticized by my peers for different reasons. So for example, when I would come into the salon, the owner was evil, evil. We were numbers to her and she treated us as such. I'll give you an example. In this salon, we worked shifts. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that means one of us got there at 8 to 4 and we had our chair, and then someone swapped with us and got our chair from 4 to 10. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's how our schedule worked, whatever. I didn't share a chair with anybody at the time, so I'm like, pack my schedule, like let me work more, right? So I walked up to my boss and I said, can I work 2 more hours? Because I'm ending at 4, and a lot of my clients are like, I need the 4 to 6 time frame. They have kids, they have work, they have, you know what I mean? Like that's a prime time. So I was like, let me just see, nobody's working with me. It shouldn't be a problem, right? And I would switch on and off days, whatever. I didn't think it was anything a problem. And the owner walked up to me and said, who the fuck do you think you are trying to change your schedule? God. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like at this point, I'm working commission. So it also is a benefit for them. Like, I'm just like, what in the world? Well, long story short with that, not only was the owner like that, no one spoke to me for 6 months in that salon.
Oh my God.
And then
you stayed there.
Well, yeah, because it was the best in the city.
Yeah.
So it's like when you're brand new somewhere, especially as a service provider, your main objective is to become known for what you do. Right. So that discoverability aspect of like, well, I'm very skilled and lived in color. So that was my go-to. That's what everyone came to me for. Fast forward, I had people flying from London and Japan every 6 weeks to come have me do their color.
That is
so
wild.
When we rewind back, whatever, when I'm at this salon, I'm only 22. I'm just trying to figure it out. You know, this is the best salon, whatever. So I'm thinking I have to deal with it. I have to take it, right? Like this is the,
Yep. Yeah, we always have to.
Yep. Okay. Yep, totally get it. So, you know, I'm not really sure. I guess this is what it's like in bigger cities. Yeah. You know, I'm coming into this from a small town. People are so kind, like, to this big city. So I'm just trying to figure out what it is. I'm just thinking I have to deal. You know, this is big cities. Right. This is big business. You just got to deal with it. Well, it took 6 months. And then finally, I consider him like my hair husband. He and we worked back to back to each other. And he was just the best. He still to this day is like, oh my God, he's amazing. So I would like watch him like a hawk. Yeah. Be like, can I watch you? You know, like, can I whatever? Like, I'll help you. I'll watch your client. You know, so him and I started to have this like dynamic together. And then we started to talk. Well, he was the best in the salon. Right. So like him and I became friends, and that kind of softened my blow with everybody else. But there's still haters because they're like, who's this? Who's this bitch? She's getting all the clients. She's getting all this. Right. I was fast. So if someone walked in, they'd be like, give her to Cam. Yeah. Give her to Cam. Give her to Cam. Cam will do it. Cam will get it done. Double book Cam. So it was like, yeah, I wanted it. Let's go. But my coworkers would make excuses. You know, like, well, I can't fit that in. Or I can't this. I'm not saying that's what you should do, but that's what I did. I just said yes.
You say yes.
I said yes. No matter how I was feeling, no matter how silent the break room was towards me, I just folded towels. I'd go in the break room and I would fold towels. I'm like, well, I want my space easy, right? You know, I want to make sure we all have what we need today. Like, I don't have a client. I'll go fold towels. Right. I'll go wash dishes. Like, it's better than sitting and just being stared at. Totally. Angrily for months, right? So it took 6 months for them to accept me. But even then, it took 1 month after that. They asked me to become an educator. They sent me to become an educator for Balmain. And that didn't sit well with the veterans of that salon who have been there for 10 years. And I've been there 10 months. Right. So that's always how my career was. It was just this like, I was just doing me, and I always was getting like kind of cut out by the other artists. But I learned early on, it's not about them. Right. You know, it's about my clients. It's about me showing up and saying yes. So no matter how bad the haters came, and they still do trust me. I'm good. And now I'm dealing in the digital space. So totally. Like, it's a different game, but yeah, just keep your head straight. Keep your blinders on, and know that if your heart and your intentions are true, that's all that you can do.
That's all you can do.
Yeah.
And so,
mind your business.
Mind your damn business.
Mind your damn business.
Mind your business.
Mind your damn business, y'all.
So tell us how you got, you stayed there for 6 years, and then you got into the world of celebrity hair. Talk about how that happened, and just like how you felt, like as far as like starting out and being able to support your family, and just like how you felt when you got to that moment.
Yeah. There comes a little bit more twist and turn before that moment that I think are important. So that same salon that I was at, shortly after I was there a year and I was in a contract for 2, the manager who hired me left, and she was like my safety net. Yeah. So when she left, I left. I walked instant. Oh, so it was like one day I got a text from my buddy, and Abel's like, Lisa's gone. And I'm just like, I'm out. Like, I could not handle the owner without her, like, being my buffer. Like, it was not going to happen. And I was terrified, like, oh my God, I'm about to screw up my entire, like, I'm about to get sued. Like, I'm about to get sued. And I'm like, shit. And so I was like, I got to do what's right for my heart. I don't know what's coming, but I can't stand in this place one more second. Like, I can't do it. I left. So I left super scared, went to this suite. I only lost 30% of my clientele, so that was huge. Yeah. But a big part of that is I got blocked out of my books. So if I didn't have their phone numbers and their names, and this was like before Facebook and Instagram was like super on and popping, right?
So at this point, things were starting to be digital, and they had
all of the books now. That's right. So now I'm in this like software with all of my books. They have them, not me. Right. And I don't get access to it until I show up to work, and then I'm in their computer. I'm like, oh, this is my clientele. Right. So important for the future of what I do now. Okay, that moment. So I leave, and my husband's working, by the way, at this time, but it's just, I'm a independent provider, right? Yeah. So now I just have to go hustle. It's not like I have a paycheck or whatnot. He did. So anyways, I go into his studio, and I'm there for like a year recovering my emotions. Like, I truly believe the experience of that salon helped me understand and like appreciate domestic violence. Yeah. Like the verbal abuse we and a lot of artists, a lot of creatives in this industry, they get this all the time. Like, and they are treated like servants because we serve. Like, please remember, you're not a servant. You're not a servant. You're providing a service. Like, I have been treated that way, and I promise you it is painful. So regardless, you're providing your magic. Stay focused. And so I go there, and then there's another salon, a big one. And I was a little gun shy because I had just dealt with this. And I'm like, God damn it, doing Bentley shows, all this stuff, like fashion shows. And I'm like, okay, deep breath, what's next? Well, I wanted to be with people. I didn't want to be in these suites, right? Like, I wanted to be around people, but I did not want to be commissioned, meaning they paid me a portion. Right. But Dallas, it was tricky. There wasn't a lot of booth rent because these are high-end salons. Like, they're very, very expensive. So I find one and I go, and it's commission on the bottom, booth rent upstairs. This is a multi-million-dollar salon. When I tell you, it is one of the dopest locations I've ever worked at, still to this day. I was highly favored there. I had 2 chairs upstairs, shared an assistant. It was wonderful. I loved it. Well, go out to LA. I get a message one day saying, we'd like for you to come out and apply in LA. And I'm like, this is a joke. I only had 80 followers on Instagram at the time. My husband set it up for me. I hated the thing. I never took photos of my work. Like, I was so bad at it. I'm like, I hate this stupid thing. Like, just give me shears and a comb. Like, fuck this Instagram. Like, I was so pissed off. I'm like, if someone says Instagram one more time, like, I get so angry. So anyways, they message me. I'm like, this is a joke. Like, this isn't real. But I'm like, whatever. Let's see. Right. So I call him. And it is the owner of the exclusive salon of LA Fashion Week. And they're like, hey, we came across your work and we want you to come out and apply for us. And I'm like, I live in Dallas. And they're like, can you come out? And I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm all, yeah. And I'm all, And so I was like, okay. And I look at Derek and I was like, this is legit. You know, this is like, this is a thing, you know. And he goes, okay. I was like, so I'm going to go and figure it out. So I call him back. I was like, do I need to prepare for like a working model or what? Like, I don't know what they're going to have. They're like, no, we want to make sure you fit with our vibe. And I'm like, what? Like, I need y'all to understand something with hairstylists. Like, we have color lines that we use. Right? We don't do that where we're like, oh yeah, we can use that color and this color line. Like, sure, give us a minute, but it's a language. Okay. So like, if you're using a color line, you're not going to try to go do an interview on a different color line. Okay. So when I'm asking this, I'm specifically asking because it's like, if you're about to make me do color, you know what I mean? Like, I need to know what I'm about to do. They said nothing. They're like, no, just come out. Let's make sure we vibe. Like, okay. I get there. I have no one in LA. My mom flew down, but she just got her hair done. So I'm like, okay, Mom, come down, be with me. Like, I got to go through these interviews. And she's like, okay. I go through the first interview and they're like, all right, well, now we need to do a working model. And I'm like, motherfucker. Like, what? Like, I leave at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Like, how do you want me to make this happen right now? Like, this is 10 a.m. is my first interview. I have until noon to figure this out to even execute a client by end of day to get any type of working model. And they're like, well, you can just come back out. I'm like, I don't know what bank account you're rolling with, but this cost me $2,000 to get out here. I'm not trying to do this again willy-nilly. Like, I'm an independent artist. Like, throw me a bone, bro. You know, like, no. So sure enough, I was like, Mom, I got to figure this out. And she goes, all right, honey. And I was like, worst case, I'm doing your hair. I don't care if we fry it. Like, we got to do something. Like, I got to do something, Mom. And the integrity aspect, I wouldn't. So we go to the pier and we're sitting at this restaurant and I'm like, fuck it. And I see these 2 girls and I walk straight up to them and I'm like, weirdest thing you're going to be asked today, but I can promise you I'm really good at what I do. Can I use your head for my interview? And they're like, one of them was like, I just got my hair done. Like, I can't. And the other one's like, I'm down. And I was like, meet me here. And she goes, okay. So sure enough, I was like, got one. So I was like, I need another one. I sent out a blast message to everybody. And I'm like, do you know someone in this area who can meet me here by this point? I don't care what they look like. I need them here. Keep in mind, you have to do 5 looks. So I'm like, you have to do 5 looks. That's so I'm hoping that these people can at least give me a combo. You know, I'm like, can I get a haircut and a balayage on that one? Can I get a this and then this on that one? You know, like, come on. Well, very, very long story short, they show up. The second one that comes, y'all, this is a fun story. Mind you, I have to paint this picture so you know how uncomfortable this was. In LA, because it is so expensive, the salons I worked for, they had 5 locations. The ones I'm interviewing at is on not Santa Monica Boulevard. What's the other one? I'm forgetting it right now.
Melrose?
It is in Santa Monica.
Sunset?
Which one is it? Shoot.
Ventura. I'm just
No,
going
you're
down
getting really
Venice.
close. No, keep going over. Yep. Hold on. What? Montana.
Okay.
Montana. Okay. I'm like, there's one on 2nd in Montana. Okay. So Montana Avenue, this is when I'm on, and this is like where Steven Spielberg comes, all of them. So this is like the celebrity hub of the 5.
Yes.
Okay. But what's important to note here is there's 30 stylists in there, and we're elbow to elbow. Okay, so like I'm talking like when we lift our elbows to start weaving and stuff, like we must work with each other in order to not hit one another. Okay, so this is very like dense, compact location. Okay,
Right.
My mom decides she needs to watch, so she's sitting in here in the smallest area she possibly could confine herself, where there isn't room to watch me. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Long story short, again, both clients show up at the exact same time. They did not stagger how they were supposed to.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, this is just what it is. The second client walks in that I did not see. She has black roots, orange mid-shaft, broken platinum ends, and she has a bob to her chin, y'all. So I'm like, oh no. We got a full color correction in a less than 3 hours. Like, let's figure this out. 3 people walk up to me, director of color, director of cutting, and the second owner. They grill me. They say, what are you going to do? Get going. That's it.
Yeah.
Ask me all the questions. I get going. They walk away, come back, interview me, do all the things. The girl with the crazy hair is so twacked out, y'all, that she can't sit straight. So every time I'm cutting, she will look up at me and I'm like, motherfucker, you know, I'm like, I'm gonna grab her head and do the quick turn, like, stay there, bitch. Like, this is my working interview. Like, I'm being watched like a hawk. Like, every single person is watching. I mean, y'all, elbow. Like, we're a mosh pit elbow room, okay? It's not a lot. So anyways, it was wild. They come up, they check it, they say, have a nice night. That's it. I know nothing. I walk out. I'm like, well, didn't get that. You know, like, oh, she's as well. Okay. Literally, I take one of my clients back to her hotel because we're homies now. Yeah. She's from Australia. We still stay in contact. And I leave. I have no idea. I leave at 8 a.m. the next day. I have nothing. And I get back and my husband's like, how'd it go? I'm like, no idea. Like, legitimately, I have no idea. 3 weeks pass. And I get an email that says, thank you so much for coming out and being with us. We would like to offer you any one of our locations. You can move out here anytime that you would like.
So crazy.
And we welcome you to our family if you can get out here. And I look at my husband and I'm like, want to move to Santa Monica? And he's like, and what's really wild, do you know Ted Gibson?
Like the actor?
Like the celebrity hairstylist?
Oh, no. Okay, no.
So he's up there though. Like you'll see him everywhere. Like,
yeah, why do I know that name?
Because he's that big.
Okay.
He's brilliant. He's just, oh my God, he's brilliant. Well, I was offered a spot at Ted Gibson's salon in New York at the exact same time. And both of them know each other because they're like the East, West Coast, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, do I go New York or do I go West Coast? Do I go New York or do I go West Coast? And I'm like, I'm going West Coast.
Yeah.
Like, I just got to go West Coast. I love California. Let's go. So I go West Coast. A month later, I moved my whole family out there.
Wow.
I had 500 clients in Dallas. I was able to whittle it down to keeping 75 that I would see every 6 weeks when I'd go out.
Yeah.
And that's when I was running 3. So then I move out to LA. My husband stayed home with our kids at that point because I was working LA and Dallas back and forth. And that was a requirement. And talk about haterade parade again because
haterade parade.
No one had been hired at that salon that didn't go through their 3-year apprentice program.
You were the first one. Mm-hmm. Of course you were.
Of course. So this was fun.
Of course you were.
Yeah, this is fun. This is fun. This is what you want, is to just do your job and then be hated for it. But so yeah, that's how my traveling started. That's when everything started going. And then this will be the fun fact for my hair people out there. Dom, he's one of the best hairstylists in LA. And I wanted to be like a secret hairstylist. So I went and got a haircut from him, trying to like not be a hairstystylist. Yeah. I didn't want him to know I was a hairstylist, right? Totally. Like, I did not want him to know. And he starts cutting. He goes, "You're a hairstylist." He's like, "I know you are." And I was like, yeah, I am, you know? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm a fan. And he's like, that's cool. And we start talking. And I was telling him that I need to get to New York because I have clients asking me to come out. So that's another thing to note, you guys. I was recruited to LA and I had clients in Dallas, but everything was word of mouth.
Yes.
Okay. So please keep in mind, my entire clientele that I'm telling you right now was word of mouth. Mm-hmm. So, and showing up and working with clients and being good at what I do. So in New York, I had at least 10 people who wanted me to come out. Yeah. And I told them, I'm like, if you can get me booked and I can find a spot, I'm coming, you know, like no problem. Dom hooked me up. I went and worked at Mark Garrison's salon in New York and was able to fill my clientele there, no problem, and just would travel. And So that was my like celebrity traveling. All of that was great. Loved it. But that's when I started to see, like, I knew it was possible without all the tech. I knew it was possible without all that.
Because you were doing it.
Yeah, I lived it. And I also was a traveling stylist before it was cool. Right. Like, I mean that. Like, it just wasn't a thing. And I was just a nut. Like, I just wanted to go see places. So I'm like, I'll know how I'll pay for it. I'll do a day of hair. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, totally. I'll do a day of hair and then I'll just play the next day. Like, that's literally how I started. And now fast forward. And now I'm here and it's like, yeah.
Yeah. So
that's my hair career right there.
That's wow.
Yeah.
And so at what, like, so you're doing all this traveling. You have clients all over the place.
Yeah.
What was it that made you kind of decide, okay, now I want to go into this tech? Like, what was that? Because that's just like, I mean, even though you have the realization, because you're obviously savvy and you're an entrepreneur and you're like always innovating, that doesn't mean you have to go into tech. Like,
no, I didn't even know about tech. I didn't even, tech was not like in my next life, you know, like it was not this thing of like, I could care two shits about tech, to be very honest, even still to this day. Like, I love to tell people, I'm pretty sure I did all of this to tell you, you don't have to. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I love to say that to people because they think it's like, well, once this gets built or once this gets launched or once this is set up, it's like, no. Yeah. And I can tell you time and time and time again that truth. But so where tech enters for me is, okay, now it's circa 2017. I just left LA, moved up to Tahoe, Nevada area to be closer to family, trying to do the whole like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't do this like run ragged hustle culture. Like, I was making great money. Yeah, I bet. But I was paying $5,000 for my apartment in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
So 2-bedroom. Like, I had the best location. So like, I'm not complaining, but $5,000 is a lot of money for rent. And it's like, I just was assessing, like, is it worth being away from my family to pay this rent? Or should I move somewhere more economic to be able to do exactly what I'm doing, but not have to pay such a high like cost on my head, right? So that's when I moved up to the Reno, Tahoe area, very close to my family in Northern California. And I was familiar with the area. So I was like, okay, let's do it. Instant depression. Instant. Like, and I think this is the part that's super important for people because I am a very happy, optimistic person all the time. Yeah. But I truly believe it comes from the contrast of overcoming some of the darkest days. 100%. So I don't want you to ever hear my story and think it's been fun, free, and easy because it fucking hasn't. So let's dive in. Like, this is where it gets really ugly too, because what I didn't know in my hair career was the unregulated nervous system. I'm getting fed, dude. My energy is hyped. Yeah, I love it. I am always just buzzing. Like, and like, you put me with people. Yeah. Oh, baby, you put me on a plane. Oh shit. Like, my energy just hypes up. Right. So here I am and I'm young. Yeah. And I have kids. So, I mean, you're not really going to stop that energy. Like, I was just hype all the time. And then as I started to get a little older, a little bit more like in tune and aligned and just kind of finding my own way, it was like, this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel right. Yeah. Like, I don't know what it is, but something's off. Yeah. Right? Like, just something's off. And that started and I hit a depression, a bad depression. Yeah. And I couldn't figure out what I was feeling. And that was like November, December of 2017. And it was like, what the fuck? Like, I was so irritated. I'm traveling. Like, why am I mad? Why am I, feeling these things if like everything's fine, everything's okay. Right.
But you're not enjoying it.
I'm not enjoying it. Yeah. No, I'm not. And I'm still traveling hair. I'm still doing these things. I'm just getting mad. Everything's making me angry. Everything is frustrating. Right. And one night I'm sitting there and I'm on Instagram and I see this beautiful head of balayage and I'm drinking my glass of wine, smoking my joint. And I'm like, okay, how many followers does she have? Mm-hmm. How many followers? Please have 10,000. Yeah. Please have 100,000. Yeah. For this level of work, please. Yeah. It was extraordinary, I'm guessing. Exactly. Yeah. And I'm like, please be worth looking at. Yeah. Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, be the reason there's a follower to it. She had 120. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. And I know it probably doesn't make sense hearing this, but my brain was like, how do we even the score here? Yeah. How do we bring in, because our industries, we need one another to learn. Like, if we don't have each other, a hairstylist, you can't teach me how to do hair. Mm-hmm. Can you? No. Only a hairstylist can. Yeah. Right. So if a hairstylist is jumping ship, trying to go viral on digital, we'll lose our industry.
100%.
if they're not good at what they do.
I feel like that's happening in dance
100%.
Yeah.
And this is where we enter into what I do and know now. So my mission started back then, and I was like, okay, well, we just need to make it to where they're discoverable, because all of us are so different. We'll all make it, but we have different skill sets, right? And how do we become discoverable for them, right? Well, I set out in frustration, went beautiful mind status, and my husband is like, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, I'm serious. And I'm like, hold on, I have an idea, and let me go, like, just let me think about it. And so literally I took these white pieces of paper across my living room wall, and I just started writing. And just started writing like all of these concepts that were coming out of my brain. And I'm like, I just want them to be free. I just want them to be able to do what they want, wherever they go, it's their information, it's their clientele, it's their skill set. No one gets to commoditize these artists. Like, I was just angry about it, because I had been commoditized every turn that someone could try. And it was like, you're never going to corner me. You're never going to corner me. Like, so I started out that way. We built an entire app. So like, we went through that whole process of like tech being the reason they can, like, on Facebook and Instagram and all these platforms, it's like, what about them owning their shit?
Their own platform. Their own app, their own art being
their
theirs.
Own.
Got it. Yeah.
And so that's how my brain started, was like, well, yeah, they're going to be on Instagram.
Yeah.
They're going to, of course, like, they're going to be on there, but do they own their stuff?
Yeah. No, you don't.
No.
You don't.
No. In our FreeByrd. So that's where we came in, and we're like, what do they need to be successful? And we thought an app, because of user friendly. Right. We know these industries aren't tech friendly. Hello. Yeah. I'm the leader. Like, so if I can't use it, they can't use it. Right. So set out, went through the whole thing. I promise you, it was the fastest thing in the entire world. What I'm about to tell you happened. Everything in my life happens in this about 6 months span of time. So FreeByrd was born January 18, 2018 on my wall. I think we had our first investor 2 weeks later.
Wow.
A client of mine back from Red Bluff, like back. When I first started my hair career, was in the Reno Tahoe area, hit me up and said, hey, I just want to come say hi. Yeah. I'm like, come over, like, let's go. Right. Well, she walks in and sees my wall. I'm like, I need you to sign an NDA right now. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but I want to tell you all about it, but it's not going to happen until you sign something. Cause like, I don't know. I just know I need you to do that, Yeah. And she's like, okay. Well, 3 days later, I had a check in my mail, and she says, I want to be the first investor.
Wow.
And so then I was still traveling doing hair. So I was building,
you were still doing hair?
I was still doing hair.
Oh my God.
So what's really cool about FreeByrd's history is every one of our investors up until, and I'll get to that, but was a client.
Because they understood.
Every investor.
You feel the real need.
I really don't know what their like lever was, but it was the coolest thing, because every 6 weeks I'd fly back to Dallas. Yeah. Still go do hair in New York and LA, right? Like, just still keeping my clientele. Then I whittled it down just to Dallas. Yeah. And was just going every 6 weeks, and the 5 weeks I'd be dedicated to FreeByrd. Yeah. And I'd go back and I'd do hair. Well, every time I'd go back, I would tell my clients the progress or what's going on, or like what I'm doing and all these things. And they would just write me checks left and right. They're like, we just want to be a part of it. We want to help you get to the next step. Like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, let's go. Well, then I got so busy with FreeByrd, and I got so busy behind the chair that I started to raise my prices, because I'm like, I can't keep doing this. Like, I'm exhausted. I can't keep running my books like this in my body. It's starting to really feel it. And at this point, I hadn't found my best practices of like regulation and so forth. So I was really feeling it. And so anyways, still traveling, still doing that, still doing FreeByrd, starting to get our investors. I really don't even know what the fuck FreeByrd is yet. It's just it's a vision of freedom for these creatives. And I know tech is somewhere in there, right? Well, now I know if I'm going to do this, I got to public speak. And that is the most terrifying thing in the world to me at that point. Yeah. Legit. Like, if you took me in a room and I was on the same level as everyone, I could talk to every single person in there, and just it'd be the thing. Yes.
It's this.
Yes. The minute you put me up and then like it's a look down thing, I'm like, whoa, I don't like how this feels. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel right. So I'm like, well, if I have a hope of freedom for all, I'm going to have to say it, right? Like, I got to learn how to say it. So very long story short again, I was like, all right, I have to start practicing. I came across 1 Million Cups, which is an organization to help startups and founders be able to have like this platform, right? So you pitch for 10 minutes, and then you have 20 minutes of questioning with a room full of investors, business owners in the local community. Well, it was my first pitch ever. I had never pitched before. Like, I mean, I didn't even know what that word meant. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, at first I'm like, what's a stupid word? You bitch, you know? Like I was so an artist. I'm like, what's a pitch? And like, what's a pitch deck? Like, I was just like, what are you talking about? I have to create a pitch deck. Like, I literally was learning 90% of my day every day. Like, there was never a moment, because people would ask me words and then they'd be like, are you going to do a convertible note or are you going to do this? And I'm like, I'll get back to you tomorrow. Yeah, you know, like I need a full day to like research right now. And AI was not a thing yet. Right. And so I'm like, God damn it, AI, thank you now. But goodness sakes, it would have really sped up some things for me back in the day. But anyways, so I'm like, I got to get ready for this pitch. I'm shaking so bad, y'all. Like, this is a secret. And I am in a romper right now and jacket. So I'm telling you facts right this second. Whenever I would go to like talk or pitch or anything, I'd wear something loose because I'm shaking underneath. Like I'm not right now, but I used to be, you know, and I never wanted anyone to see it. So I was just like, whatever. Well, again, long story short, I pitch at the very end. Every single person stood up and came and shook my hand and said, we can't wait to see where FreeByrd is in a few years. God. And I'm like, well, me too. I mean, I don't even know, you know, like, I was so excited. I was like, I don't know, you guys. I was like, okay, what does that mean? Like, I knew nothing of this world. And so I was like, okay. And I was like, so do I keep practicing? Like, what do I do now? Right. Like, they liked it, you know? So I'm literally like deer in the head. Like, I don't know. So sure enough, they're like, Cam, will you come back and pitch again? And I'm like, yeah, like this will be great practice. Yeah. So I come back and pitch and I was accepted into an accelerator, and they wanted 1% of our company. They wanted all this. And I'm like, no. Yeah. What do you want 1% of? Like, I may not be able to answer all of these questions. Right. But what do you want 1% of if I can't define it? So I was like, there's too much question marks for me to like, well, what if it's X? What if it's, you know what I mean? Like, no, like maybe not now. You know, it's just like, it's not right. It doesn't feel right. And I promise you, every time I had to make that kind of decision, this is where it's important for you to listen to the story. Cause like, hair was always scary. I mean, you could always mess up, right? But it was in front of you. Mm-hmm. So it was like you could see it, feel it, and this visceral experience happen, right? Yeah. Transactional, and it ended. Well, this doesn't. Right. Right. Digital doesn't. Right. Neither does business, and neither does vision. Like, and vision is holding fast to what you see that is not real yet. Right. And believing and knowing you're going to be able to get there. And that's why trusting yourself every day. That's right. Is like, because you don't really know where you're going, and you don't really know what it's going to look like. Right. So what are you trying to think about? Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, it's very important for me to tell you that now as I sit knowing this story, not knowing what's coming. Right. So then again, I said no and was then invited down to Silicon Valley. So this is like the big, this is it. Like, this is the spot. So keep in mind, my third pitch ever was in Silicon Valley. Yeah. I had come off a platform of 10 minutes and 20 minutes pitching, and I taught myself that. Yeah. I didn't have any help. Okay. Important for the next part. My next pitch was 2 minutes to some of the world's. You get 2 minutes to get it done. Mm-hmm. What you just did in 10. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I have only pitched for the first time in a month ago, second time. And now I'm coming into this arena. You guys, the night before, I was so distraught that my husband almost was like, we're not going. I've never seen you like this. I'm like, I think you need to go to the hospital. Like, I am in the fetal position, grabbing the back of my hair, literally rocking, crying, because I have no goddamn clue, because I still have yet to write my pitch. Yeah. So I'm headed down to San Francisco, and I've not wrote a pitch. Yeah. Here I am. Okay, cool story, Cam. Really good way to prepare yourself here. Good job, Cameron. Good job. So I'm up all night, write my pitch in the morning, go down. I'm like, hopefully it's under 2 minutes, you know, like didn't have much time to plan. And I was like, all right, let's go. I get down there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm the only female. Wow. So this has been my lot always too, is I'm the only female. And I promise you, my looks, unfortunately, make them treat me like an object first. Yeah. They don't really hear anything I say. Right. They're just first. Yeah. It's like, you're cute. You know, like, okay, next. Like, you know, it was never taken serious. It was like, and being the only female, it's like just disregarded. So anyways, I'm there. I'm with all these guys. I'm already intimidated AF. And on top of that, I'm the youngest person in the room. I'm the only female. And I'm asking for $250,000. Yeah. Let me paint you the room. The first one asked for $50 million. Oh, shit. So I'm in the room, youngest female, asking the least. Right. Meaning the smallest company.
Yeah.
Right? Like all of these companies are older, more mature. And here I am among them. And it's like, motherfucker. Like I look terrible. I mean, I just look bad. Like how do you look good in this dynamic, you know? So again, long story short, I pitch, I sit, I get completely grilled. I'm still actually a really good friend of one of those investors. It taught me a lot. But now I'm like, what do I do now? Yeah. Right? Like I'm getting all of this like interest. I'm getting all these things. Investors are coming at me left and right. But now they've got me so far removed from my clients.
Yeah.
A hairstylist who is a hairstylist first.
Right.
Now, in less than 6 months, is a CEO of a software company where all of these investors are like, I want to bet on that horse.
Right.
That's what's happening.
Yes.
I want to bet on that horse. Beauty, I like it. There's beauty tech. Go ahead. I understand. It's like beauty tech. They like it. It's sexy to them. There's good market potential. So they're just seeing that, right? Well, I am scared to ask them questions.
Right.
Because I feel like that will make me look bad as, like, I don't know anything at this point, right? So I'm really trying. And I go a full year like this. Everything's going great. Everything's moving. Everything's growing. We pivot from an app to a web base. So what that means is we're not an app. We are a full web platform.
Right.
So that just means we literally do everything.
Yeah.
Like our software is as powerful as any software out there.
Yeah.
And so anyways, fast forward maybe 2 months and I get an email that says, hey, Cam, I'd like to put you in contact with Jason Calcanis. And I was like, who's that? You know, like, who's this? You know, well, he's an investor to Uber, YouTube, all of the Airbnb. I think he was like the second to Airbnb. Anyways, brilliant. They're called the APAC 16, which is the world's largest investors. They are the investors who literally run everything. And there's called these, he has this launch accelerator program, and there's 7 CEOs, 7 companies in each program. And there's maybe 2 or 3 a year. And thousands of people apply to these. Like it's so amazing. Anyway, just to like put into context how amazing Jason Calcanis and his program is, I was even more sought after from other investors just by being in his presence.
Right.
So he's like that good. Like he is amazing. So anyways, I didn't know this yet. Yeah. I didn't know what I was getting into when I got that email.
You just showed up.
I just showed up again. Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, let's go, right? So, and mind you guys, investing world is wild in that like so many people are interested, so many people won't take the like next step though. Yeah. So I'm here trying to pay everybody. I'm trying to keep the doors open. Yeah. Because I'm also trying to keep my software running. Every FreeByrd that has a business built, plus all of my people. Yeah. And I'm just trying to figure it out. Yeah. And I just started. Right. Like, so remember, an idea just became real.
A thing. And you're just still learning as you're growing.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So if there was ever a time that I overthought it, it was never good for me. So in this span of time, severe panic attacks for me were every 48 hours. Yeah. Every day I was under the table, bawling my eyes out, like so scared. Every pitch, every presentation, everything I would do, like, and I would hold it together the best I could, but there would just be times where it would literally succumb, like the pressure, the pain, the fear, the overwhelming. And one day one of my coworkers was at our office and it happened, you know, just like, and I looked at him and I was so mortified because he was like one of the executives on the team. And I'm like, oh my God, fuck. And instant just went down under the table. Instant. Just like, I'm sitting here down, like instant. And he's like, oh, this is serious. Like she's really having a hard time. And he was like, Cam, you are FreeByrd. Right. You need your FreeByrd energy. Yeah. What are you doing? Yeah. You know, like you're getting caged. Yeah. And I'm like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Like, whoa, you're right. And it was like, oh my gosh. And now here comes this incredible opportunity. Yeah. And I'm having severe panic attacks for months on end. So it's like something I'm not aware of this. Like, I don't know what to do. I just think it's what happens. It's what it is. You just got to show up. Right. Right. Important for this, where I am today. So go through it. Jason Calcanis accepts me, instantly go into the program, 16-week program. Every week I pitch to them. Yeah. Every week. So I have 30 investors getting grilled every question that you can imagine. And 3 months after that, I was named Tech Founder of the Year for 2021. Yes! So it was intense. It was wild. It was all the things. Then I really had investors after me because they're like, let's go. Mm-hmm. And fall of that year, I decided to push them all away and stay private and have my mental health be number one. Yeah. So that was end of 2021. 2022, 2023, I have been working intimately with FreeByrds and really just silencing the noise so that I can stay steadfast in my own soul and heart to be there even better for myself.
Yeah.
It's been a journey. And so that's where I think it's really important is like, today I am creating FreeByrd Studios, where it's a combination of helping people be able to use their voice confidently.
And this is a physical location.
This is a physical.
This is big.
This is coming right now. Yeah, this is underway. And now you can see why I said, all right, guys, I got to tell you all of it to make sense of what I'm doing today. And that is I'm really alchemizing the experience for myself. And that is I was one way over here in the hair world, right? Go. Tech for 7 years. I've been behind the scenes at home, you know, kind of this. FreeByrd Studios is this hybrid for me of like, no, we're better together. I need to be creative. I need to be in spaces like that. Yeah. But so does all of us. And a confident place to share without pressure. And so I will have hair like set up there so that I can do hair whenever I want. And if people want to, they can as well. But truly it's like creatives deserve to be confident and have spaces to create without pressure. Yeah. And be able to flow and move with the intuition that comes.
Totally.
Instead of like, well, I got to do this strategy. I got to do this. Because let me tell you right now, tools in the digital space are no different than the tools that you use. Like you, Vanessa, like you're not going to listen to the same song
20 million times over and over and over.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
You're not going to talk about one song. You're not going to talk about one move, right? Like stop talking about Instagram.
And that what you're talking about is such a hack. And I didn't really realize it till this last year, is that it's an extension of creativity. That's how I think about it now. Because I used to be the same. Oh my God, it's so fucking daunting. I don't want to do this. I mean, we talked then. I was like, oh, you know, I post like inconsistently. And now I'm like, wait, this is an extension of my artistry. Yes. And then it became fun.
Yes.
And it took me years to like, it's just, that's not a natural thought.
No, it's not.
Like I really had to like sit and just like look at it from a different perspective and be myself
Set yourself free.
With it. Yes.
And that is where I think creatives, you know, I'm not trying to speak for anyone but myself. So this is just me, but I felt so stupid. I felt so stupid in this world. I felt like I would never understand all of these smart people. Like I thought because I wasn't college educated, because I was all of the things, like I didn't think I could be successful. You know, I didn't think I could or had the right to jump into this arena. You know,
worthiness.
That's right. And it's like, I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm the consultant to hedge fund managers who are jumping into this space now. So like, don't you ever underestimate yourself, you know?
Yeah. And what I love about your story is that it is a constant, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm hearing that's like, you're always taking the time to be like, this is what's best for me.
Yeah.
Like you're presented with these opportunities that a lot of people would just take because they're good, but you're like, no, that's not working. That's not going to be for me.
I honestly think it's the artist way. You know, it's like, I've always had to protect my hands, you know, because it's like, it's not, I don't know how to say this other than, it may sound arrogant and maybe I don't care. Just this is what it is. Like, there's only so much time in the day, baby, you know, and you may want my time, but so do I.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like to make me a commodity would kill me.
Yeah.
Right? Like truthfully, like if you try to commoditize or control me, the FreeByrd spirit in me is so wild that it's like, I would ruin everything.
Yeah.
Just to not get controlled. You know, it's like, try to control me. Like, good luck. Right? So it's not necessarily meant to be in this like aggressive way so much as it's like, if we want to play together, let's respect one another and make it better. Yeah. Not try to control me because of what I can do for you.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's play the game together.
Christopher talked about that last time. Oh my God, I could talk to you forever.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
No, you're fine. Okay, I want to ask you something and then we'll wrap, but this is like a different take. And I've been thinking about this a lot. Because I don't know how long you've been married, but you've been with the same partner who is obviously like just so supportive of your free spirit. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of times we hear, especially now, about like partners being the opposite. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
And so like I've been really wanting to speak on and hear people speak on what it's like to have a supportive partner and how beneficial it is to have somebody that's like lets you be yourself.
Oh yeah.
And just like, I mean, he moved with you, took care of your kids, allowed you to like.
Him and I have been together since we were 15. Yeah. So everything you've heard, he's been there.
Yeah.
Like.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And he actually left school early. He didn't graduate early, but he left early to come with me. So,
Wow.
and then he of course finished later and whatnot, but like, no, he has always been so supportive of my wild ways. Like he literally, this is joking, but this will sum it up, is like yesterday I was like, okay, I got to go over here. And he goes, okay, where are you going now? You know, and I just like, I come around the kitchen. I was like, what you trying to say? And he's like, we're all just trying to figure out where you're going, girl. Like, we're all just trying to figure it out, you know?
Right. Totally.
But the thing is, like, yes, he's always been very supportive. He's always been so amazing in that regard. And having that space and that go-to, oh my God. Like, we often bring it up. It's like, him and I know each other, right?
Yeah.
Like, we've been together since we were 15, and we've always chosen to grow together.
Yeah.
We are not the same people. We do very different things. We're very different individuals. Like, and even still to this day, 18 years in, like, I would still say, like, it's new.
Yeah.
And that it used to be scary, but it's actually exciting now. Yeah. Like, I used to think there's no fights left in us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, totally. we've done it. And I'm like, oh, I was surprised this year. We have more. Like, just kidding. But it's the truth is having someone to support you is so beautiful.
Yeah.
But also I will say I have to take radical responsibility for myself here is in the times he wasn't, it was because I wasn't communicating.
Totally.
So like, I want to make sure that's clear here for people is like, you got to know what you want, baby.
Yeah.
And then you got to have the confidence and the courage to share it.
Always.
With everyone around you.
That's a theme for you and your whole story.
That's exactly
right.
right.
You got to know what you want.
That's right.
And you got to be vocal about it.
That's exactly right. And you got to be willing to say yes. And I will say this, and I say this as someone in an 18-year dynamic, because I would never say what I wouldn't do myself. But it's like, you best be ready to question everything. Yeah. And you best be ready to flip script.
Yeah.
And I mean that in your relationship too.
Yeah.
Because it's like, don't get too comfortable or think you know that person. Seek to love them.
Yeah.
Seek to choose them every day.
Because people change just as everything else does.
And that's right. And so I think for there to be a supportiveness in partnership, that has to be true. Yeah. It can't be just who you are or what you hope them to be or what you want from them. It's like unconditionally loving their expression each day and communicating what you need for yours. Like that's the ebb and flow to keep it supportive, I think. Yeah. It's always work in progress.
It's such a big topic, not just like partnerships, but friendships and stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's come up for some of the other guests too. It's just like who you surround yourself with. Yeah. And how, as you do some things, people may or may not feel a certain way. People may ride with you, people may not, but just like understanding how to
keep your circle small. Yeah. Honest. Yeah. Like your inner circle should be very tight. And it's, I learned this in beauty, but also is like words can be weapons.
Yeah. 100%.
How you express them may not be how they're received, and being diligent and disciplined to be mindful of that. Like there's been so many times because I'm such an intuitive speaker. Like I won't remember anything I said in this time until I hear it back. Honest to goodness. Like it's coming out as you ask type thing. Right. Yeah. So I can have conversations with people and they'd be like, you said this. And I'm like,
cool.
What'd you take from it? Like, I mean, what do we do with that information that came out? Like, I have no idea. Right. Like, but the truth of the matter is it comes back to you and your heart because as an artist, the hater rate is real even from those who love you. Yeah. So you must be your number one fan. You must be willing to, I'm going to throw my husband under the bus for a second here. And I think this is important for long-term relationships. Like my husband is the most supportive, kind, gentle, all of those things. But in the beginning parts of FreeByrd, there were some insecurities that would surface with like me going to networking or this, that, and that. Yeah. And he would not ask me not to go. But empathetically, as his partner, feeling it, I restricted myself. Yeah. Not him, me. And then what happened?
That's a whole podcast.
That's a whole podcast. And that's where it's like really taking responsibility of the fact that you and your relationship, you and your work, you and everything are there. You. So it's not coming from the outward. It's coming from the inward. Yeah. Be gentle and love that because you have to support yourself before you can support a partner.
Right. I mean, everything's a mirror.
That's right.
Everything's a mirror.
But I think that's where with partnerships, it's like, I know this was me I leaned on my partnership heavy for years and just expected it. It's just long, right. And it's like, but wait a minute, I need this now. What do you need? Me asking, what do you need type thing, it's like, you have to support yourself first, and then it expresses out to everyone else in a gentler way, I think. Yeah,
totally. Okay, one last thing. Man, this could go on for hours. This was like super fascinating.
Hopefully it's all piecing, y'all. I hope the listeners like, wait, this bitch was here then when she was here. Like, we need a map.
We should have had a visual. one piece of advice you would give somebody. Like, I know that's super cheesy and it doesn't have to be business advice, but just, I mean, we've even touched on some of the things. Like, why are you a fucking rock star? Like, if somebody's like, I just want to be good at what I do, like, what is that advice?
Do what you love.
Amen.
Do what you love and let that be enough. And if your hands and your heart is part of the front lines of humanity, like I like to call it, with all of us, including dancers, including photographers, including the people who are actually working with other humans, you are the only one right there. Right. You're holding space with those people. You're creating peace. You're creating joy. You have an opportunity to make their day lighter. Do what you love and share it, because when you love, it allows for more love.
Yeah.
And that's all
the world needs.
And that's all that we need. Yeah. All of these tools that will help you express it and expand and all of those things, they're gorgeous. Like, I'm very grateful for these tools, yes. Like, referencing fire again. We wouldn't eat or be as far along as a civilization if we didn't have that tool. Same here. It's a tool, you guys. Don't give it power.
Yeah.
Have it help you take back your time so that you can do more of what you love. Yeah. You can be present and peaceful and not overthinking. Like, this is, if I can help anyone understand anything in the digital space, it's infinite. Yeah. You are not. It can do anything.
Say it again. Say it again.
It is infinite. You are not.
Amen.
It never sleeps. Yeah. You must.
Yes.
And this is the most incredible thing that I will reference this for dance, but also hairstylist for a second. You walk in that color room, hairstylist, and you want to create magic. But do you go in there and do you grab all the colors? Do you mix them all? Or do you just grab one or two? Yeah. With focused energy and effort? Yeah. Dancers, can you do every move all at once? Can you listen to every song? No. But when you're slower, present, and patient and calm, the outcome is far better. Yeah. And it's with less. So I'll tell you right now, I've seen more people be successful not using any tool, but finally believing in themselves. Right. So if you want one piece of advice out of all of that, believe in yourself and it will be enough. Yeah. Do what you love and the rest will come. Yes.
Okay, if people want to find you, where can they find you?
You can find me at cam.freebyrd on Instagram, freebyrd.pro with a Y, FREEBYRD. You guys can hit me up anytime. I'm on all the socials, but it's Cam Freebyrd. Hit me up.
And when can we come actually see you in your space?
Oh gosh, let's hope for the end of this year. December 1st is my birthday, so I'm hoping for launch on my birthday. If not, it will be January 1st, but I do believe I've done crazier things in my life. So
yeah. I mean, I'm sure I've only heard a fraction of them.
I hope that y'all enjoyed. It's been a pleasure sharing just bits and pieces of this wild ride, but
wow.
I promise you, if I can do it, you can do it.
Yes. Give it up for Cam. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Oh my God.
Of course.
Wow.
Pleasure.
Damn. Man.